Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you to invite the Thai Tuna Industry Association to present. And I think we're going to have a very interesting topic because what you already heard and you're going to see through the course here is implemented in our industry. So for example, the yellow card that's mentioned before is what we faced for about 10 years ago, and maybe going to face it again soon if we're not lucky. So let's see. So our industry is successful is based on three policy, and the first one is about sanitary and food safety. It's a requirement for the industry for very long times, and it's still developing and also very strict regulated because it's concerned the human health, that kind of thing. So I think most of you already know about this. And the second thing is, I think, is focus on your course here is sustainability, and not just only the IUU, but all the environmental impact and also social and also the industry sustainability and fishery sustainability as well. The last one is also the ethical standard and human rights that I think you're going to hear about that in the next few days, but it's become more and more problematic for the industry and the government as well, especially Thailand, because we lack of labor and we import the labor from our neighbor countries, this kind of thing. So let's know a little bit more about our association. We are consist of 27 companies. I think people know the Thai Union. That's one of the biggest tuna company in the world. And also we have our, let's say, association that come out from our association is the Pet Food Association that's become very strong industry related to our tuna industry. It's become the same industry. Okay. There's about 10 members of our company to work on that. So for the today topics, I would like to talk a little bit about how we become one of the world's biggest import and export of the tuna in the world. And also talking about our sustainability and innovation. And I think the third topic is more with what you concentrate on here in this course about IUU and also the environmental impact, something of the sustainability that it start from our crisis 10 years ago, and after that the conclusion. So let's see our start about 1972 is the first company is Safeco. It's registered as first tuna seafood industry, and that's one become the modern industry of our starting point. I would like to point out that our industry factory is start by what we call the OEM. So our customer from abroad have the specific product in mind and pay us to produce those products for them. But the label is their brand, not Thai. So this is still continue up to this day. However, our tuna industry also have our own brand as well. But that's, I think, how we start our industry to become well known around the world. And after we have increasing our tuna production, we start to form the groups, not just the association. At the beginning is food processing association, and we start to become the big groups over there. And after that, we start to establish our own association when become more established on that. And our successful is the coordinate between the government and the industry. We coordinate with the Ministry of Commerce to promote our products, and also we working with, let's say, with Department of Fisheries as a competent authority to work on all the requirements on the standard, not just only the government standard, but also private sector standard. I hope you know the difference between that, because the government standard is help us to be able to export to specific country, but the private standard is helping us to be able to sell into the specific retail company. So I think what make us to become the most import export tuna, become the biggest industry in the world, is that uh, the crisis in different country at the same time that we have opportunity to produce at that time. And this is our opportunity for tuna industry. But at the same time, if you learn about our crisis in the shrimp exporting problem in Thailand, that we should, no, sorry, we used to be the biggest export of the shrimp in the world. But after we have the crisis on the shrimp disease, even now we cannot recover from that, because we lost our opportunity and our competitor take over our market. So, but for the tuna, we have a very good opportunity at that time. So we are racing to become the big one. So we also located in the good location, strategic location in the world. We are, this industry need intensive labor and also skilled labor. This thing is very, very significant, because in Europe country with a high labor cost, they cannot do it. And now Thailand also facing the same problem, because our labor cost is going higher and higher. However, we still need this, because the machine, the robot, cannot doing this for us. And so that's why it's transferred from Europe country to our region, and more of a European country can have this industry, because they're labor intensive and the skilled labor that needed. However, you still need not just a low cost, but the efficiency of the factory is the most important thing to keep your costs down. You already see that, like IUU fishing, the regulation, the labor regulation, the cost of logistics is the real burden for the industry. So if you are not very cost effective working, managing, you are not be able to compete in the world. And also the new regulation that's come out from different countries, different regions all the times, you need to keep up with that as well. So the US have a different model to control, the EU also another one, and Japan. All of our big customers have a different requirement. So you have to be able to keep up with that. And not only just the business. The problem with that, the government also need to be able to keep up with that as well, because most of the exporting need certification or some kind of verification. Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is what we going to talking about, that for tuna, canned tuna that we export. Right now, the margin of profit is very, very small. We cannot survive by producing that by itself anymore. So we use the byproducts or the waste of the factory. In the past we call the waste, right? So to build another industry. So it's a pet food, and this one is a really good market, especially I think after the COVID, because during the COVID, I'm not sure what happened, but people start to have more pet, and they import a lot of pet food, and this is something really amazing. So right now, I'm saying that tuna, for the producing the canned tuna for human consumption, cannot survive if we don't have the pet food industry. And for our tuna industry, we can call ourselves that zero waste now. And we also working on the problem with carbon footprint as well. So we have tuna for human consumption, we have the pet food, and also related industry like fish oil or other extract that very high value as well. So now we are like number 2 for exporting the pet food. Surprisingly, the pet food is going to be take higher volume and value than our human consumption tuna, canned tuna that we export. So this is, I think, it sounds easy, but it's not that easy. But this is what we have right now, and the trend of the global demand for pet food is still very high. Okay, now we're going to the topic that I think we are interested in. That's the crisis that we have about 10 years ago when the European Union gave us the yellow card. And at that time, we are very good exporting for tuna and also shrimp as well. And the big problem really, let's say, the fishery law, because at that time our fishery law is older than me. And at that time our law is very simple, because when we have that law, is the word we didn't have IUU fishing, no definition on anything, right? So we, as a Department of Fishery, try to update the law for many years, many times, but it's not successful. So the big problem is that the law start from 1947. You see, it's very long time ago. So we don't have the law that we can issue, the regulation that we can control the fishery industry. We cannot do real fishery management at all. We already uh, ratified. We already ratified, let's say, the UNCLOS, right? But we cannot have the regulation to comply. And we try to work with the European Union to be able to sell to the EU, but they warn us many years since the beginning of their regulation start that our law is so obsolete that they cannot trust us to comply with their regulation. So we try to have some kind of system thing to be able to comply. However, in the end, they said they cannot allow us to do that anymore. So from working together, they issued the yellow card to Thailand. And I think the previous session also mentioned this somehow quite a successful case for the EU. I would like to say yes, because it's not just we don't want to have the impact on our exporting and the problem with the economics, but we also want to reform our fishery sector by ourselves. We want to have a new fishery law from long times ago, but the opportunity is not open for that. So instead of looking at this as just a crisis, we can look at the yellow card as also our opportunity to reform the whole fishery. The problem is that you need to change almost from black to white. It's from nothing to something that's very, very strict, regulated. So the government officer, Department of Fishery, policemen, Navy, and especially the fishermen themselves is in the shock of how to implement all of that new regulation and the new idea. I think on Friday, you went to see our uh, FMC and also the port in and port out system. All of that is a new thing that implement or start 10 years ago from nothing at all. So we also work on labor because at that time not only problem with the yellow card, we also have problem from the EU talking about the labor issue in fisheries sector, but the main part is from the US that they have the human trafficking report that give us the bad name at that time, I think the tier 2, and also have the report on the child labor and forced labor report from Department of Labor of the US that fishery sector also have the problem as well. So we work with IOO and work with Ministry of Labor, work with industry, work with the fishermen to work on how we can treat our worker fairly. So I think this is what we're talking about is the general term, and also from the government side that need to do a lot of things. But our association itself, the private sector, the company also have our own initiative to work on this as well. So I would like to say that even now, many of our standard and also our customer standard that require us to do is strict or have more requirement than the law, requirement by the law of the Thai government. So we are doing a lot of things, a lot higher standard on that. And some of the standard is the guideline or the standard that we work on our own system as well. So this is our conclusion on that. But I would like to say more about what we achievement is that, you see, it's not just talking about the IUU or fishery management on that, but how to work. The industry, the company cannot work on the regulation, but we support the government to work on the regulation. And I thought most of you come from the government side. I was there. It's not easy because as a government, you know how the government works, but you don't know how the fishermen work, how the business work, and the regulation, especially on the IUU, on the labor issue, on the environmental issue, is quite detailing. You need to know how they work to be able to issue the good regulation. For example, you went to see the port in, port out system. You know how difficult it is to issue the regulation to say when the fishermen need to file the, the application to go out. The regulation have to say precisely before how long before they're going to go out. And the regulation have to say precisely how you're going to inspect or not inspect that fishing vessel, what kind of inspection you need, what kind of document you need. And also when those fishing vessels going out and want to come back, they need to apply to come back. So they cannot come back before we allow them to come back because they might transfer illegal labor out, something like that, or they might land the fishing, the fish that they have. So all of this is very complicated. We have the case that the fishermen going out without knowing that they have another labor who's not supposed to be on the vessel going out with them. So they have someone not authorized to go out. And they complain that how they know, because this is after midnight, everybody want to sleep, just go out at sea. So nobody checking what you're going to do. So I asked them, when you going to know? They say, oh, I don't know. So what they're going to do, right? So this is some kind of the problem as well. And also, if you don't know about the VMS at all, you never use it, how you going to analyze that the data you have mean they're doing the illegal fishing, or even they are fishing or not fishing? Because you just see the point in on the map, that kind of thing. So this somehow, what I'm saying is that the working together between the government and the industry and the fishermen is very important. And you see the SIPDEX talking about the traceability system. I'm going to say that the new world order for global sourcing, everything going to be supply chain. Everybody going to need a supply chain for everything. So this is the key thing, that how you're going to be able to trace from the point of production up to the product on the market, because they want to know everything throughout that. And the labor going to be some kind of the big problem there, because they don't want to have contaminate those product line with the illegal labor or human trafficking or forced labor or whatever, that kind of thing. So it's not that easy, but this is something that's going to be requirement. I know that EU already have a new regulation on the forced labor regulation. They don't know how to implement it yet. They have what they call the corporate sustainable due diligence system, that on the suspension, because the industry say they don't be able to implement it right now because it costs too high. Those kind of things. But you see the trend is there. The US already have those kind of things as well. So what I'm saying is that the tuna industry is quite good right now. If you look at the whole system, when you finish this class, you're going to see that from the sea, we have IMO, or the coastal state, who manage the fishery management in that region, not just only the fish stock, but also the environmental impact as well, through the RFMO and the coastal state. And after the harvesting, transfer of the fish to the processing state or import the country, and also the how to processing and export to the market. Everything is quite good control. And if you see the development from different IFMO, you can see that some of the problem with the fish stock is recovering right now, and the new regulation coming out, not just only look after the fish stock, but also from the impact on the different species as well. So they are working quite good right now. So if you see, this is like multi-billion dollar per year for everybody, and we have a very good, strong sustainability throughout the world. This is a good example for everything else as well. So I think I would like to conclude here. Okay, thank you very much.